da-da-dee, da-da-doo, da-da-dum, while they're just like just riddling this guy with bullets.
3, 2, 1, let's jam. So welcome everyone to session 2 of Pro and Noob doing Cowboy Bebop. Did you appreciate that one?
I caught that today.
Well, that is called sessions, not
sessions. And okay, there's going to be a couple things that I am afraid might become a consistent.
Oh no, he's starting off. We lasted a week and he's starting.
It might be a consistent here on Pro and Noob that I hearken back to 2 works of art that are dear to my soul: Star Wars and Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. And
so we have been not quite a year doing this. It's creeping up on you. It's kind of crazy.
It's creeping up on a year, yeah.
And you're only just now saying it might be a consistent.
Well, Star Wars is always going to be like a comparison point for me. I'm saying, because listen, there was the whole Mr. Morale, Last Song Standing, Evangelion debacle. Which
absolute
remains
shambles. Yeah.
Which I'm not even gonna lie, it's like a core memory of our friendship to me now. Is you realizing that I accidentally got the code cracked for me by Charles Holmes. But there was a brief moment very similar to the Evangelion.
Oh, again? We're only 2 episodes.
No. For me today, watching the episode, where I realized that the episodes were titled Session. Where I went, is this therapy for Spike? Like processing past trauma? Because again, they're doing a season on Mr. Morale for Dissect. So like those themes of like the collective of unconscious and, you know, fixing yourself and processing your trauma are like so like in my brain right now. Because of Dissect, again, we might have to have a new rule that I can't listen to Dissect when we are recording Pro and Noob seasons, because it's like priming me for different themes that accidentally keep overlapping with one album and whatever the fuck we are watching for this show. But that's already like a theme. I mean, are theme predictions a thing? I don't know.
You can make it a thing, Jarod. Coin it.
Sure. I am predicting that the big theme of this is going to be that all of the lessons Spike is learning over the course of this show and all of the journeys we see him go on are going to be leading towards kind of a, to use some therapy speak, aha moment for him, which like is most fiction, of course, but like I think specifically in the context of like processing whatever horrific firefight was kind of teased to us as being a part of his past. And obviously his kind of devil may care attitude is clearly him papering over somebody who is clearly deeply hurt and is processing a lot of things and running away from it.
I've heard you say paper over a lot in the last couple of days.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever said it before, but it's really just stood out just then.
I don't know. Listen, Taylor has told me that apparently I go through cycles of using specific phrases for like a month and a half. And
that's the neurospicy, Jarod. That's fine.
And then I move on to like a new parlance that I just love using. I feel like I use paper over with some regularity.
I mean, definitely recently. Yeah. Definitely recently.
Maybe.
But before that, I couldn't tell you. It just really stood out.
Well, thankfully, there is a back catalog of me speaking on the internet, so we can. So if somebody wants to go back and count the amount of times I've used the phrase "paper over,"
on the Nerd Academy,
go all the way back to Do Back Discussion and Hall of Heroes, which that's crazy. Speaking of things that have been around for a while, a little bit of like pre-plugging, real quick. I think on March 25th, which happens to be my 27th birthday, we're going to be doing a very special live stream. This is very tentative, so I'm just kind of putting it out there. It's been 5 years of the Nerd Academy, and I kind of forgot to celebrate it in January. So
I was the Nerd Academy of January, baby.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We left.
Me.
I'm going to use some charitable language. We left Do Back Discussion, which is now known as Project Louder, after The Rise of Skywalker. not because of that movie. That was just the last big thing we got to cover over there. And then started laying the groundwork for Nerd Academy, and basically said, you know what, we're going to do our own thing. We're going to be, we don't need all of the pageantry over here. We're just going to, do our thing over here, and started up Nerd Academy at the end of January. It was one thing that always frustrated me about the way 2020 as a year went, that I hated the idea that my show looked like a COVID hobby.
Yeah, I
get for a little bit, because a lot of, because I was like, because at that point I had been doing like some type of like internet broadcast for like 2.5 years. And I was like, I'm starting my own show. This is my thing. And then it kind of felt like it was like, oh, I have nothing to do. Let's talk about my things I like. And I was like, no.
In fairness, that was the right time to start it. I should have started.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah.
Way back ago, but.
I mean, if you look, but here's the thing. And we'll get into the actual Cowboy Bebop. I'm sorry. The weird thing is that like Nerd Academy didn't start as a COVID hobby. Me overextending Nerd Academy for like that first year and a half was a COVID thing. That was me going Nerd Academy, Knights of the Nerd Republic, Campus Life, movie club, #1 contender. We got 5 shows, and I'm going fucking crazy trying to manage it.
How do I make myself Collider?
Yeah. You son of a bitch. I wanted to refute it, but I'm like, I'm doing a Schmodown show. I'm doing a show about the movie trivia Schmodown. May she rest in peace. But I still maintain that the Collider video days were the golden age. But there was a lot of good stuff there at the time.
They had some good people.
They had a lot of good people. They had some great people who carried a lot of stuff on their backs. I.e., obviously Ken, John Schnepp, R.I.P.
John Schnepp, yeah.
But Bebop.
Yes, Bebop.
Sorry. That was a wild out of nowhere tangent.
You had delayed talking about the bestest loaf of bread for long enough, Jarod.
Yeah. So jumping into episode 2 of the show.
Excuse me.
Session 2 of the show.
Thank you.
So this was like, again. So first of all, I can confirm I have only seen the first episode.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes. Because it was one of those things where it's like, I know there's a dog in this show, and I know everybody loves the fucking dog.
He's the best boy.
So the fact that I was like, oh, I don't remember meeting the dog yet. It was only the pilot episode I watched like 3 years ago. So
that's cool. That's right. No.
So I enjoyed that episode a lot. Shows like this, these like Adventure of the Week shows, it's always illuminating to get a second episode because it gives you a vibe for like, this is how this is going to kind of be structured. It's easy to do one Adventure of the Week. What does the second one feel like without feeling too similar? And I will say, over the course of these 3 episodes, I appreciated just how different they felt. And
I agree there. I'd say 3 and 4 is like a 2-parter. It just feels, I think because of Faye, he just feels.
Yeah. You get that introduction to Faye, and then her like, hey, I'm actually going to kind of be a series regular. At least that's what it feels like. No, yeah, there is that. And there is that kind of 2-part element to it. But even then, like, it's only a 2-parter because of Faye. If anything,
100%, yeah, 100%.
Because again, like, you have the, and granted, like, almost all of these episodes have been less about hunting a bounty and more about acquiring an item that the bounty happens to have. It's like there's a price on your head because you have this thing.
Yeah.
Like the first episode, there was a bounty on that guy's head because he fucked with the mob. not because he made off with that weird like super soldier drug.
The red eye stuff. Yeah.
The red eye stuff. So like people were like, oh shit, he has red eye stuff, but like kill him because he crossed us. Where the second 2 episodes are get this guy because he has a thing. And honestly, I don't really care about the guy. Just get the thing and get the guy if you can. Make our life easier because the guy has the thing. Which I thought was, which again, it's not to say that like it's too samey, because again, the tones and the settings and kind of like the archetypal nature of what was happening felt so different.
That is funny because both session 2 and 3 do the same joke. It's like, we're after this guy. Oh, but it's this guy. Oh, it's the wrong guy. We want that guy. They both do that exact same joke.
They do that, but they present it so differently that you don't notice it, which I think is clever. Because in session 2, they do the, all Spike sees is this guy has the briefcase I heard about. Because I had in my notes, I'm like, Spike is kind of an idiot. Because he's watching the Bounty Hunter TV show that is explaining like Abdul looks like this. He has this. We would like him. And he has it on in the background. And at no point does he like deign to like really pay attention to the fact that like this is your target. It's not until Jet walks in and goes, hey, we're going after this suitcase. And all he gets is intel about the suitcase, not the person with it. Whereas on the casino, they're in the casino. I love that little plot conceit that like the staticky screen.
She just sees a white guy with messy hair. It's
just like the messy hair and the static literally like cuts his face in half, like diagonally, so that like it's just like floofy hair, strong jawline, and is like wearing a suit in that picture. That like it could be Spike.
Oh yeah,
it's
not the same blue and yellow clothes that he's wearing, but it's a very
it's almost like sepia toned though too. So like any coloration is missed. So like I don't know if it's like a shading thing that like Spike has a green tint to his hair, but like the other guy doesn't. The other guy doesn't have like seemingly green hair. So like that's another little like kind of funny conceit.
In episode 2, to go back to the whole he's an idiot thing, he doesn't know what he looks like. That doctor does say before he goes off that he's had plastic surgery. That is true. And again, that's another funny conceit in these 3 episodes of just how common it is for somebody to have a complete facial reconstruction down to pigmentation, because like when they first go looking for that guy that the Space Warriors are hunting, when they look at his original picture, like he's like a portly black guy. Yeah. He's currently like still kind of pudgy, but like, completely different features. White dude. Now very white. Now quite white. Which I thought was funny because like as I've said before, I've been making my way through a bunch of like Legends novels I never actually read. And in the Legacy of the Force books, it like comes up all the time. Like, oh yeah, I'm just going to put on this crazy elaborate disguise so that nobody can recognize me. And 9 times out of 10, it's like, I'm not putting on blackface, but I'm putting on a black person face and the mask. And I'm like, I don't know if Ben Skywalker needs to do that. I think maybe just like putting his hood up would be fine. That's weird. It's one of the easiest ways to disguise yourself. Obviously not with like an actual, blackface, but if you had the technology to change the pigmentation of your skin. Yeah. Probably in that situation, or at least in the Bebop situation, do it. I mean, if you're on the run and there's like thousands of like, heavily armed, ruthless bounty hunters after you, it's kind of not there's to stop and think about ethics and the morality. Yeah. Being culturally sensitive might be the last thing on your mind. But no, I did really enjoy these episodes. Listen, the session 2, it kind of went on for a lot longer. Session 2 is just fun. It's about a dog. That's what it's about. It's just about. And I think that
I think that the issue I might run into with Cowboy Bebop that I didn't with Neon Genesis Evangelion was that, like, with Evangelion, the thing I knew about it was it's heady, it's heavy, it's legendary, and maybe mechs, and people love to reverse engineer things into being about Evangelion. That's all I fucking knew about that show. Cowboy Bebop was going to present a different conundrum. Where, and I kind of alluded to this earlier in this season, where I was like, there is the, like, I've never seen Star Wars, but I know who Darth Vader is effect.
Yeah.
Of, like, I think on some level, because the cultural osmosis of Cowboy Bebop hit me more than, like, Evangelion, for example, or even Princess Mononoke. You know, where, like, I knew nothing about that movie. You know, I was like, Wolf Girl is the main character. That's all I could have told you, and that was incorrect. Whereas with Bebop, I'm like, with Bebop, I'm like, I know the theme song, I know who the main character is, you know, like spacefaring, you know, I know about the dog, I know I'd love a woman who could just kill me. Like, there are things that, like, I'm like culturally aware of.
Yeah.
That I think kind of present a weird roadblock. For me, at least, where I'm watching this episode, I'm like, oh, this is the one where he gets the dog. Cool.
Yeah.
And I try not to do that thing where I'm like, okay, can we get to the part where he gets the dog now? And
no, I get it, yeah.
You know, and just in these 4 sessions I've seen so far, Abdul, I think, was the least fun target.
Yeah.
He has kind of the least amount of sauce.
But he's not really anything to him. He just, it's like, cool, this guy's had plastic surgery to change his appearance completely. He runs and he punches a guy and he steals a couple's like just married car. Like that's
kind of the most like fun thing about him, you know. Or other than that, I'm trying to get to my.
He's not Space Peter, for starters.
Yeah, and
there's also no Faye Valentine.
Yeah, like Faye is so much fun. One of my notes in here.
Faye's absolutely iconic. She is. Love that character.
Brief moment of me being a hypocrite and saying that the lines on the screen made me feel things. When Faye and Spike were speaking for the first time, I just typed out in all caps, "Bye, panic." But yeah, so like session 2, like, okay, we get the doggo, cool, fun, whatever. Session 3,
he's a smart doggo as well.
Smart doggo, very smart very smart doggo. But we get to session 3 with the Faye Valentine stuff and this weird like casino double heist, double cross stuff. That was way more interesting to me. I love a casino heist. I love we're going into this place where all eyes are going to be on us. Let's try to do our best. Let's try to behave. And, you know, if things go tits up. Let's figure out a way out of it. That was really fun and compelling. A lot of that because of Faye Valentine. Also, her little starfighter is so cool. The shape of that thing. Like, that is a uniquely shaped spaceship. Like, I love that it kind of has that like pod cockpit in the middle. With almost
it's like a little miner thing. You can see it with like hands.
Yeah, and I also love that it's like almost like a pump action blaster turret. Almost.
Yeah.
Like that one moment, whenever they're trying to take out the bioweapon from the Space Warriors. That
you see
like
this guy.
that like chun chun poof. I was like, that's cool. That is certainly
more space practical. Stuff needs that. Right.
I was like, that is not practical at all, but I don't give a damn.
Oh, it's absolutely practical. Shut up.
I mean, that's too long. That's too long for a firing rate.
No.
But no, I love the casino stuff. I love Faye Valentine as a character. I can absolutely see how she's going to stack up to be a very compelling foil to Spike. You know, they both have that like devil may care angle to them. You know, and they're both clearly running from something. And I that's just kind of an archetype I like, you know, is like we're both running from something and we kind of run into each other. You know, I got to keep comparing the show to The Mandalorian. just because like that's my spacefaring bounty hunter show. Mando Bebop. I like how that is kind of the nature of Mando's or Din Djarin's relationship with both Bo-Katan and Cara Dune, more so Bo-Katan, where it's like, I kind of don't know what I'm doing with myself, like I want to like kind of live the creed, but like I got this kid and I kind of would do anything for this kid. And obviously Bo-Katan is running from the shame of like all the different hats she's worn all her life. And I see a similar dynamic between Spike and Faye, especially if the kind of like the central conceit of what makes Spike is that, I would assume he fell in love and either the person he loved was taken out by the mob or, she double crossed him or whatever, he has this whole like, a woman's killed me before. What that means, I don't quite know. Like, again, with the nature of the technology in this show, that could be literal. He could have died and had been brought back in some way for all I know. So I do think it's very compelling to like put him in a situation where he kind of has to look in the eyes of a woman who shares a lot of like the negative traits he has. And again, making another Din Djarin comparison, I do love with Spike the fact that he can talk as much as he wants about like, get this damn dog out of here. We just eat it. He can talk about that all he wants. Dog's still on the ship.
Yeah. The dog's
still on the ship. He can talk a big game about, fuck Faye Valentine. He can talk about that all he wants. He rescued her. And I like that again. Like it's somewhere between Han and Din. You can do your whole like, just give me the credits. I'm not here to fight a war, and then pulls a big ass Yui to help blow up the Death Star. I see a lot of that in Spike, and I really like that angle for him a lot. I think he's very, very compelling. Jet is one of those characters for me so far that is kind of one note, but in the best way. He's one note, but in a like consistent way.
I get it.
Like Jet feels like a character who already knows who he is and is here to shepherd somebody on their own, expedition into identity, if that makes sense. Cause again, that's the vibe. That's the vibe I get from Jet. Like Jet's, and he said, we get some cool development for him. Where he's like, I used to be a part of like the military police shit. Come on, and we see him big dick that one cop, which I thought was great. Because again, it's one of those instances where in these stories about scum and villainy and how like nobody's really a hero, but there are definitely villains. There are no heroes, but there are for sure villains. Having if you let somebody be too noble for too long, they have the potential to become too good. So having an instance where there is that instance of like him big dicking that cop of like, listen, we've known each other too long for you to stab me in the back. I know you were stealing shit. So either you help me now or I destroy your career. It's up to you. Like that is not an inherently heroic thing. However, he uses those like morally ambiguous means to justify a very heroic end. And I will always find that like give and take very compelling. But like I said, with the antagonists of these two episodes, the main antagonist for session 3 obviously is that like Roberts or Rogers or whatever the fuck, like the casino tycoon guy.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Like obviously he's the main one, and maybe he is more boring than Abdul because I can't even remember his name. But like he's there to introduce Faye. Yeah, and Faye brings so much life to the adventure of that episode, plus the setting, that I think it makes up for the villain also kind of being forgettable. But we get into session 4 and like Engelbert Humperdinck or whatever the fuck her name was, Sparkle, whatever.
I can't even remember. I can't remember now.
That's Sparkle something. she's fun. She's a lot of fun. Like I was like, this is a C tier Batman villain, and I'm having a blast.
Maria Murdoch.
They put like sparkle in front of her name when they talk about her though.
Twinkle.
Mm. They're like Twinkle Murdoch.
Maria Twinkle Murdoch, yeah. AKA mother.
But her whole deal, her whole presentation, the outfit, the character design,
so good.
The way she's like doing little da-da-dee, da-da-doo, da-da-dum, while they're just like just riddling this guy with bullets. Incredible. Like she just has so much sauce and so much flavor to her. Super compelling. And again, like it was a much needed inversion to how these episodes have gone so far. Where the whole episode is building towards we're either going to catch this guy or catch the thing that he wanted, or we're going to blow up a worse guy. But at the end of the day, this all comes down to a chase to catch the person or what they have. Where in this one, in the first 5 minutes, Spike has her at gunpoint. And it's like, you're coming with me or I'm painting the floor with your brain. Pick. And they take her, and then we have so much of like the buildup of this episode having, I made a Batman villain comparison. It's almost like Joker in Dark Knight, where it's like, he's locked up in the GCPD, GCPD lockup, and he's the only person in control. He's the only person in control of the situation while behind bars. And you get that vibe from her.
Oh, she's very, very, very close to not being in control with Spike. Desperately trying to get into that virus that he doesn't know about.
Oh my God.
Just sitting there sweating. It's like,
it's so funny. So funny. And again, I say like C tier Batman, like hell, I don't even know if she's a C tier Batman villain, but she's certainly a golden age one. Or silver age one. Yeah. I have my monkey virus, Batman. Take another step, Bat, and I'll turn all of Gotham into primates. Like, it's very Joker's boners type shit. That was
Lex and his 40 cakes.
Yeah, Lex Luthor and his 40 cake. Joker's boners, a nerd sync deep cut that I appreciate. But no, I just she was just so much fucking fun. It was so entertaining, and I again, like I will say
she gives you like Penguin vibes. I think just purely because you have obviously she's that eccentric sort of character, right? But you have all the people dressed up as this one specific animal. It's like like
I said, it's very Silver Age Batman. Like I have a theme. Everybody who works with me goes with the theme. Everybody just kind of uniformly listens to every goddamn thing I say, without question. But no, I will say I am struggling a little bit with the episode pacing. I do think session 2 and session 4 felt they got a little long in the tooth for me. I was like, okay. And now granted, part of that might be, Hulu with ads. So like I get a 2 minute.
Don't you have it on Netflix?
No, we talked about this. I have to watch it on Hulu.
Oh, of course you do. Yeah.
So I'm watching it with ads. So
VPN.
I'm watching it on my TV. Okay, I'm watching it on my goddamn Roku TV. I don't think I can get Surfshark on my TV. Yeah, add that to your repertoire, VPN companies. But yeah, so but that might be part of it. Is that every 5 to 10 minutes, I'm getting a 2-minute ad break, and it's the same ads every time, and I just kind of mute the TV and go on my phone. And then I'm like, okay, we're back. And I got to lock back in. So that could very well be a me thing. Is that the ads are really just kneecapping me as I start to build up momentum. And before anybody asks, the reason why I will not upgrade to Hulu without ads is because my girlfriend gets Hulu for free through her Spotify account. And we don't know if they even provide that anymore, but she hasn't paid for Hulu in years and is still getting it through Spotify. So I don't want the risk of upgrading anything and losing an amazing fucking service. But if I
No, I did something similar with Sky over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time we change something, it's like, oh, by the way, this was free. And they're like, oh, all right. So we're not paying for it. It's like, fine. You've been with us for like way too long. We won't change it. It's just like, you're fucking right. I ain't paying 40 quid for that. Right.
Yeah, motherfucker. But no, so like that might be part of it. But I didn't have that issue with session 3. I have that issue with the casino stuff because I was having just so much fun again. Like I love, we're going into a casino. Look at us go. Like that was like the one thing with Ionized Bastards season 2 I was only slightly disappointed about was when we went. It was whenever Michael was like, "We're going to a casino." I was like, "Heist, heist, 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 heist," and I was like, "We're not stealing shit. We're not stealing shit. I mean, want to steal
right?
Shit.
You could have stolen whatever you wanted.
I could have, but after our first day in the casino, we were in a pod race for our lives, and then my character's like oldest best friend got murdered in front of him. So then it turned into normal D&D bullshit, and I was like, I couldn't steal anything from the fucking casino. I wanted to steal shit from the casino. I wanted to walk out of there with like 1 billion credits or whatever bullshit.
You just didn't want it enough, Jarod. That's all it was.
Clearly. I could have derailed the entire season.
Exactly. You could have saved so much time by just stealing something.
I feel like that would have taken us completely off track from taking the poison that we needed to stop from being proliferated. And what good did that do us? Ionized Bastards season 3. But we record on Wednesday, and I'm getting like, hey, I'm getting nervous.
Getting that dice-society.
Hey, I'll tell you. I made a big deal about it. I switched dice for Bastard season 3. We had our first combat in the 3rd episode. These guys not pulling their weight yet.
It's because you haven't had to roll on this, Jarod. That's what it is.
Yeah, fair. But I don't know what the hell I have to roll for this show. Like I don't like again. Like I don't like and I don't want to say that like this show is less than Evangelion.
No, it's not that sort of show.
It does, but it doesn't go to that mind bending place. Like this is this is a much more simplistic character study than it is like a character study on top of
another character study,
on top of another character study, along with like a very complicated meta commentary, along with like a very like nebulous study and like the concept and themes of humanity. This is not that.
No.
This is an Adventure of the Week show that is, I think, building towards a broken man assembling a group of equally broken people who will fix each other together, which is just as meaningful. And that is a shared theme with Evangelion. It's just Evangelion's is much weirder and more heady. But yeah, no, I didn't.
Different, right? No.
Yeah, very much so. But I will say, like, even though I was getting a little like, okay, come on, let's keep going here with session 4, the Stargate missile chase was so goddamn cool.
So cool.
And I was also excited to see the first use of like an energy-based weapon. Because I pointed out before, I was like, everything is just normal guns and bullets. There are no energy, there's no like blasters with like plasma beams and anything. This is the first time we saw a weapon that did not shoot a, normal either like missile, torpedo, or bullet. It was, that really cool energy cannon that I thought was sick as hell. And I love I love the conceit that Spike's like, I got one of those every couple minutes. So I need somebody to help me mop up here. I thought that was really cool.
It's why people use bullets still.
Yeah. Well, again, that's what I said before. It was like I wouldn't be surprised if it's like this technology exists, but because it's in its infancy, the other thing might still be efficient. The same way that at the dawn of gunpowder, it takes you a minute to put the pellet in and shoot the thing. You put the pellet, do all that shit. Where in that same time, you could have just taken out your cutlass and stabbed a guy. So I think it's interesting that it's like situationally, some of these weapons are better than others.
No, it's funny if that is the case. If it is still a new emerging thing in the Bebop universe, that they have these hyperspace jump points already, but they don't have the laser guns yet. We've cracked the travel. We don't have the laser. Usually the guns come first, then everything else follows. This was we travel first, guns later.
You can A, tell this is a show made by Japan, and B is the most fictional element of it, is that humanity for some reason prioritized, the ability to travel and efficiency and like improving the living conditions of humanity over finding new ways to annihilate
it's just so thematic. Look what you can do when you don't waste your money on guns and weapons.
Yeah. It's almost like that might be a big thing. And I also, again, like going towards like the whole idea of like broken people helping each other, that I do think we're building towards. I do think that it is not accidental, the fact that this show has cast such a blinding light on the amount of like income inequality and wealth inequality in this world. Like you have people who are like, whose like job is like, hey, my cat can tell your fortune. Would you like to give me $1? And you have, seemingly it was a bird, whatever. But you have
that bird was right.
That bird was right. But then you have millions of people who are either involved in organized crime or are, bounty hunters who are themselves outlaws who are just, outlawing for the law. Like I said, these are very clearly desperate people. It was something we talked about with Skeleton Crew, where it's not something that gets talked about with like the hyper capitalism of Star Wars, but like, a lot of these people, a lot of the scum and villainy types, they're not here for the love of the game, at least not most of them. Like, sure, you might have your Cad Banes, and people like him who are like, I love this shit, but like Han Solo was an orphan kid who grew up on the street. He had nowhere to go but organized crime. And then he tried to go into the military and he couldn't hack it there. So they went back into being a criminal. It's the whole thing with Jod Wood's pirate crew. He's like, you want this out of life and you want this out of life, and none of us can have it because we don't have any fucking money. But we have the Hutt cartel and we have the banking clan, who are basically the same organization, one of them more legitimate than the other, but they're still all just these robber barons who ruin people's lives and create the necessity for people like us. And while it hasn't been as explicit in Cowboy Bebop, at least not yet, it's very clearly there.
Oh, 100%.
Because we
capitalism and how that destroys people's lives is very much a common theme in Japanese stuff. Very much a common theme.
And I find it very compelling. I'm very excited to see where it goes. Again, I think Spike is a lot of fun. I love watching him fight. Like that is somebody who, again, clearly
he's got that two-step dance to it, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah. He is so graceful. And that's another element that I think is like, I fun, like archetypal inversion, is that like his whole persona and his whole personality is so rough around the edges, but with this like dash of elegance to it. And it's a character design thing. I think it's brought to life by his outfit.
Oh, 100%.
Where like the suit is wrinkled and kind of pressed in a weird way, and the collar's popped, and the tie's half undone, and the shirt's unbuttoned. But he's still in a suit. He's still in a nice suit.
He's in the Strider Pride moment. He's always in that hangover.
Yeah,
always in that hangover look.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the ciggy, that everything.
Yeah, like and it is that mix of like rugged elegance that like again comes out in the way that he fights, where it is that like, okay, like it's a bare knuckle brawl, but he moves with the grace of a dancer. And again, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm some type of martial arts expert. I'm not. You're
a white boy, Jarod, on Anime Podcast. You have to be.
And it's something I enjoy. I used to do Taekwondo. I was quite good at it back in the day. And as a bigger guy, like I like seeing that elegance, You know, like that was something I always enjoyed about, like, as I got better at it, was that, you know, most people, you know, like in sparring and stuff, it's like, okay, look at this guy who's like bigger than just about everybody here. Surely he kind of has like, he's going to be a brawler. Where I was also doing that like step back, slide backwards, fainting stuff. That completely throws somebody off. And I love seeing that. I love that. I like, again, and he does it where he kind of like, he was in the casino and he kind of like advances on those three guys and they kind of get ready to put their guard up and he immediately feigns back and does that like reverse hook kick and just like clears them. Like it's really, really elegant fighting. And I look forward to him getting into a scrap with somebody who has less finesse than him. You know, because like everything so far, like even the Abdul fight and even the guy from the first episode, first session, you know, like they were, it was a brawl, you know, it was a pretty white knuckled fight, but there was still that like kind of like there was an element of it having that like choreographed grace where everybody so far has had a level of grace to their combat, where I'm looking forward to Spike having to fight somebody who has that like barrel chested brawler kind of build to them. And he has to like get around the fact that it's just somebody who's built like a brick shithouse who can put him on his ass with one good punch. As opposed to it being a lot of people who don't have the finesse and don't have like kind of the steel jaw that he has. That's something I hope we see moving forward.
Well, I hate to break it to you.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
Oh, well.
No, I'm joking. I wouldn't give anything away.
Oh,
I was hoping for a, oh, really? Oh.
Yeah. You know.
Give me what I wanted.
Like I said, I look forward to seeing Spike in a fight that he can't punch his way out of, that he has to get a little bit more clever with. But yeah, no, really enjoying this show. I'm looking forward to the next batch of episodes that I watch. And yeah, I'm having a great time.
Good. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah, I'm looking forward.
I just went completely blank. My mind just went, and I can't even say I'm tired this time. I'm not. It just turned off completely. No.
I will say I was gonna try to push through and get to the 5th episode today, but I was getting a little like, I was like, okay, I've watched enough TV for the day. I had a lot of dishes to do, and Taylor was off today and wanted to play Baldur's Gate, so I gave her the TV back. So I didn't.
That's fair.
But
we'll give up for Baldur's Gate. That's totally fine.
But I did accidentally catch a blurb from the next episode.
Oh, back to this. It's been so long.
Well, no, but I'm very excited. All I know is that like Spike's past catches up to him and something Red Dragon. So I'm very excited to get some background on Spike. Like I'm very excited for this next batch of episodes. I'm very, like I said, I don't know anything. I just know that I'm excited to get more about Spike and, you know, kind of get a little bit more clarity on what's motivating him and what's pushing him.
Oh, wow. Is that really this? I'm going to stop talking right there. I haven't watched this as many times as other things. I think this is only like the 4th time I've seen it in like the 20 years that I've known about it. So I haven't got everything like committed to memory. Not that I have that anyway, but yeah. Sometimes it's just like, oh, that's really early on.
Yeah, very, very excited. So yeah, I think that's all I got for you on this one.
That's fair enough. We've got 45 minutes. Decent show. It's not the 2-hour juggernaut that we had.
No, with our Bombad crossover.
2 weeks ago, that was actually a week ago. And you'll notice because this is going to go from here to here to here.
I will say for a little bit of clarity, we are recording this on March 10th, and we'll probably be recording the next episode on 11, 12, 13. So
I love how you had to count that.
I'm bad at dates, bro. Yeah.
Sure. Bless you. So yeah, where can lovely people find you, Jarod?
You guys can find me over at the Nerd Academy Podcast. We're doing our week-to-week coverage of Daredevil Born Again. I will not be at Star Wars Celebration in Japan. Taylor and I kind of came to our final conclusion there. I will not be there. However, if everything goes according to plan, I will be in Kentucky that weekend, kicking it with friend of the Nerd Academy, Bill Sheehy. So while we're down there, Bill and I do plan on doing a couple live streams to talk about what's going on for Celebration, any news coming out. And then the week after, I'll hopefully have a couple of my friends on Nerd Academy to do a live stream to talk about everything kind of in full and talk about what all was happening at Celebration. Shouts out to Scotty J-Ro, who was on here last week, for the very fun kind of revisit to Evangelion with him. It was a wonderful episode. It's such a good time. I was so excited to get to speak with him about it. Scotty and I talk every day, and he and I have kind of gone out of our way to like not get too in deep talking about Evangelion, because we both were like kind of like edging ourselves, waiting to talk about it on Pro and Noob.
It'll be interesting to see if he does go back and listen to everything, what he thinks of half the shit you came out with.
I do too. Also hope he finds time to watch that season back. Honestly, there's a part of me that's like, that kind of just wants Scott. I'm like, just watch all the intros. Because the intros. I need to say, like, because I have gone back and just watched my favorite intros. You have such a great comedic timing as an editor.
Thank you.
Like shit, like There Is No Fucking Baby. I
can't take credit for that. That's completely. Shut up.
I'd like to think that story is funny. I'd like to think that the story of There Is No Fucking Baby is funny. There Is No Fucking Baby in the Mind Palace is like 10 times funnier than me telling the There Is No Fucking Baby story.
I can't even remember that there's no baby story. I just know that bit was funny. You know?
It was me thinking that an episode of Law and Order SVU where two parents were talking about how their baby was missing. I was like, the baby doesn't exist. This is an elaborate ruse to find out that the baby died of natural causes and both of the spouses were trying to take the fall for the other one by lying about killing the fucking baby. And then me litigating with Taylor after the fact. She's like, see, there was a baby. I'm like, by the time this episode started, that baby was dead. So there was no baby this whole time. Thank you very much. And that's the only time we get into fights. And that's why I'm a very happy person. But like I said, we will be covering Star Wars Celebration next month. I'm very excited for it. Celebration time, even though I've never been and won't be until the next Star Wars Celebration, which I will be at.
Have you never been to a celebration?
Never been to a Star Wars Celebration.
Wow, I get why you're getting a bit Aggie's the wrong word, but it's the first one that came out. Getting a bit aggy about it now. That's why it was so upsetting. You know, like I mean, Star Wars Celebration London would have been not as difficult, but still pretty difficult to pull off for Taylor and I at the time. But also that was the weekend Scotty was getting married. So there was never a question. Fuck me. Scotty. Horrendous timing. Honestly.
Well, it was funny because all of my friends were at Celebration Anaheim. And by the time like I even like really thought about I could go and I did want to go. By the time I even had an opportunity, it was the first one after Celebration and it was domestic. So tickets were gone. So that was the issue I ran into. But so I didn't go to Anaheim. And then they were at Anaheim. They announced London for the weekend. Scotty knew he was getting married. So basically half of my friend group was like, we want to go to Scotty's wedding. And the other half was like, I kind of really want to go to Celebration. There was obviously like, do what you want to do. So I very happily was like, I'd rather go to Baton Rouge for a week for Scotty. And then Japan was its own cluster. Huh?
So you got to go to your own wedding, right?
Yeah. Scotty didn't have a choice because they had already pushed the wedding back a couple times.
Well, yeah, because Scotty and Katie, I imagine, right?
That was part of it. There was also a personal reason for Katie and like with her family that was very important to her to push it in a certain direction. That's fair. So they had finally locked down that date. And then while Scotty and Katie were at the last day of Celebration, when they announced it, Scotty went and Katie went, no. And he said, I love you. I understand. And
you can just see the glint in his eye as that happened, just to get dashed.
That she immediately went, I love you. No. And he said, I love you. I understand. And It was very sweet. It was very beautiful. That's why we kept calling us all, like me and all of my friends being in Baton Rouge. That's why we kept calling it Star Wars Celebration Baton Rouge, because they were happening at the same time. So like there was like a Bombad live stream where we watched the Ahsoka trailer together, all for the first time. Where again, much love to Trey Mitchell, who was on the most recent episode of the Nerd Academy, at least at time of record. And we were talking about the Ahsoka trailer, and we were talking about Baylan Skoll, seeing him for the first time in the trailer, and how people were saying that Baylan Skoll might fill the role of Joruus C'baoth from Legends. And Trey had never even attempted to say that name out loud before, and called him like Joruus C'baoth. And I like looked at him, I said, "What the fuck did you just, who? Joruus C'baoth? Did you sneeze? Are you having a stroke?" I love Trey dearly. He's a brother. But yeah, all of that to say, Nerd Academy Podcast, Ionized Bastards, Star Wars RPG show we're doing. We're in the final season. Again, the day you're watching this, we will the fourth episode should be out of the third season. I also don't know how many episodes long the season's going to be, because Michael.
I imagine that's you dependent. No.
That it's us dependent. It's pacing dependent. Michael does a really good job of like when we reach the halfway point going, "Congratulations, you're halfway through," and giving us kind of a rough idea. But also like season 2 was longer than season 1. So I'm hoping that season 3 is longer, because I don't want it to end, and I want a couple extra episodes to like prepare myself.
Third acts tend to be the shortest part. So
yeah. But yeah, tune in for that. Like I said, Ionized Bastards is heating up.
Join me continuing to prey on Jared's downfall in that.
I hate the fact that you want Fabian Martel to die before the show is over.
I don't. I want you to die in there. Fabian can carry on. It's you. It's just you.
I want you to die. It's crazy work. Mitch, so I was on the most recent episode of Comic Book Cast, and we were all laughing about the fact that there was a litany of comments asking that I never return to that show. And jokes on all of y'all. I'm not Jello Monkey. Because there's a decent chance I'm on this week, and I will be an asshole about it. But I love the fact that we've gone from people going, "Please no more Jarod," to Mitch now catching the bug and going, "I hope Jarod dies."
Catching the bug? I started that bug.
Sure, buddy. Whatever you think is the better position to be in here.
I mean, expect you patient 0, right?
Anyway, Ionized Bastards is heating up.
Sheep.
The episode we recorded most recently, things started to really, really get scary for us. And in the next episode, there's going to be a lot of discussions to be had as to how we're going to move forward. And I'm very scared, but very excited. And then Epic Confrontations on the Star Wars in a Galaxy YouTube channel, the trivia league I'm a part of, has a very exciting 4-person match coming up. Or 8-person, 4 people on each team match. It's a very exciting format. It was a scheduling nightmare to put together, but now that like the bugs have kind of been worked out with the match type, I look forward to it being used again in the future, because it was a lot of fun. Nice. I hope I get to participate in it again. But yeah, that's where you can find me. Nerd Academy Podcast, Ionized Bastards, and Epic Confrontations. And here, of course. But I'm here already.
He is, yeah. Check out the link tree on the screen and in the description. And follow the boy everywhere. And of course, you can follow me right here. You can like, comment, subscribe, do the good stuff. You can find me in the blue skies. Not the Twitters anymore. I just use Twitter to doom scroll and occasionally find out something's happening. And then like 1,000 tweets in a row and then close the app again. Haven't made a tweet since New Year's Day. And I
smart.
That way.
Smart play. I will say, even though it's broken and like hard to navigate these days, if you're following the right people, Twitter is still better for news.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Like 100%. if you're following the journalists you already like appreciated and trusted and like have Twitter notifications on for them.
Oh, I've never done that. Ugh.
I do. I mean, most of my Twitter notifications are only on for like news outlets, though.
I turn notifications off
station and like
literally everything. No,
that's valid. I have
even like Facebook Messenger. I have that turned off, yet somehow so stuff comes through. It's like probably shouldn't mess with that because kind of important. But.
Yeah, it's kind of the only way we can schedule this show.
Exactly.
But yeah, like I said, very excited for more Bebop, and thank you everybody for watching and listening, and like, comment, and share, and do all those things, please.
So we will see you, Space Cowboy.
Yeehaw. He's
Judy and Punch, by the way.
Oh, are those like the bounty hunter TV people?
The only thing the live action show got right was Punch and Judy.
I didn't know that. That's fun.